Welcome to the Artichoke Heart Podcast, peeling back the layers to get to the heart of what really matters, with your hosts, Maggie Butterfield, Ruth Harris, and Gretchen Peters. We're so glad you're here.
Welcome to the Artichoke Heart. We are back with another episode, and we are going to be peeling back the layers as we learn more about health and wellness. This is part 2, so we'll be learning a little bit more from Maggie. So Maggie, what do you want to share with us today?
Well, so again, this is one of my favorite topics, but we were just talking about, in the last episode, just about food and activity, but now I want to transition to a little bit about, okay, so how does that translate with our family? How do we, what do we do for our emotional health as a family? And being around the table and having a meal is part of emotional health. It's part of our wellness routines and rhythms. I don't remember growing up having a lot of family meals around the table. I mean, sure, you like the holidays and some, but something somebody told me when we were having kids that was just so important, and it's just been so true for family identity, because you feel it when you're not having that time together, or you're eating, and we do that. Like, don't get me wrong, our weeks are pretty crazy, so we have to be super intentional to have these times and to plan these times out. So, the kids, and we do highs and lows around the table when we have meals, so we can hear about our days, and sometimes things come out like, oh, my low was when you said that to me, Mom, at the table. But it's like, okay, we need, so not only are we eating healthy, nourishing food, we're having deep conversations that aren't always like, sometimes they're great, other times like we can talk about things that come up. And so that's been a great rhythm and routine for our family that we've carried with us. So do you guys have similar routines that you do as a family, like around the table? Or
yeah, our life is really busy during the week. We drive Emily to ballet. I drive Emily to ballet so many times, and life is just crazy. And maybe that's true of you guys. Maybe you're thinking, oh, I would love to eat at the dinner table every night together, but everybody is always going different directions. I think that's true for so many of us. So then I think our rule of thumb is just as much as possible. As much as you possibly can. Just sit down at the table. Like, if you are home, I know, and I want to say this carefully, because I don't want to put down anybody who it's their family thing to go sit and eat in the living room together and talk about their day or turn on a show. We're all in this together. We're all trying to get through and raise families that are thriving. So you do what's best for you guys. But if you're just thinking, I just really want to try to see what that would look like, then just start with as much as you can. Just try. There's something about being at the table that brings unity, and it's just, we have always in our little family unit have tried to do that, and it's just a rich time. It really is. There's so many things that come from sitting together at the table. I just love it. So it just slows life down a little bit, and you feel more connected, because if you are like the rest of us and you are running someone here and there and everyone's just coming and going, then you need that pause. You need that time to look at each other in the eye for maybe the first time in the week, to just really make that connection happen. So.
I've had 2 things that I have tried to add over the last few years. So we've always tried to do dinner at the table. I don't know how successful we always are, because having babies and different things, there's been seasons where I'm like, everyone's at the table but me. I'm still taking care of the baby, or I'm still doing this, or I'm cleaning up the baby while others are eating. And so we haven't always, like, sometimes actually we'll feed the kids, and then my husband and I'll eat like an hour later and stuff, and like those are just real life things. So 2 things we've tried to add in is on Sundays having a really strong family meal.
that's great.
So I actually got it from a lot of my Russian friends. I would go over to their houses on Sunday, and like they would always have this like huge meal, like Thanksgiving, and I was like, wow. We don't ever do that. But I loved it. I was like, it was just such a good connection time. And it felt so special. I don't know, because I don't live in their homes, but I was like, man, I would just wait for this Sunday, And so we've really worked on adding that in and trying to make it, and it might include us inviting people over, but just making that a really big meal and like talking together. And then we have leftovers for the week, which is really nice.
Super nice.
Another thing that we do is on Friday nights, we try to do our Sabbath rest time. So sometimes on Sundays, we are still kind of serving others, and working at the church and doing different things. And so I don't feel like it fully gives us that rest time that I think the Sabbath really is meant for in so many ways. So on Friday nights, we try to unplug, put away electronics, and be devoted as a family to like full connection, praying for each other, talking about all the things from the whole week. And it's a really nice like restful time. And then maybe we'll watch a movie or do something too, but like, or play games. So it's just a really special family time.
I love that so much. Doesn't it take the pressure off to say, okay, in an ideal world, we'd love our kids and our spouses looking at us at the dinner table every night. But our lives just look a lot different now. So I think just even saying, what about one day? It's just kind of, it seems more doable, and it takes that pressure off and that stress. When, you know, because it's when we think all or nothing, it can become overwhelming.
Well, a lot of the times you don't start something because it feels too big from the start. So pick one, kind of slowly ease into it. Okay, now we're doing 1 day a week. Now 2 days a week.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and you know, especially, I don't know what your family's schedule is like, but it doesn't have to be a dinner time thing. It can be a breakfast. It can be a lunch. You know, I had a friend who, her husband was a pilot, and she homeschooled, you know, so it kind of gave them a little bit more flexibility, but they would have breakfast. Like, that was their big thing. So it's just figuring out, like you said, you guys have both shed light on. There's differences in family schedules and routines, and so figuring out how to have that strong family identity. And that can come from board game. You guys, games. That's a whole other. I feel like a whole other podcast. You know, the family games, and some people are more into them than others. I know we've gotten into like different card games with my family. That's like the big thing, you know. And so, but it just, the girls are going to remember that. They're going to, and whatever we do as a family, they're going to hold dear. I mean, I have memories. Like, I have dear memories from when I was a kid. Things that I was like, oh, that TV tray or whatever it was. You know, it's like you hold on to those things, and you do treasure them. So. Good stuff. I think that's super important for our emotional health. As far as a routine for the kids, how do we include them in this? How do we make them a part of our wellness routine? How do we, you know, I know it's daunting. It was daunting thinking about, okay, well, letting them in the kitchen, what? But now my daughter is like the best baker in our family. You know, she loves it, and she's really good at it. And my other daughter is showing interest now in wanting to prepare food. And so for me, it's the control thing. Like, it's going to take so much longer. It's going to make such more big of a mess. So it's letting them get their hands dirty. It's trusting them. It's empowering them. So when they do leave the home, they have some skills to do that. And, you know, I can't say I had an interest in learning as a kid, but I wish I would have known more when I left the home to be able to do that. But I learned, you know, but just them owning it and learning how to cook. Like from scratch, you know, and it's not, you know, just with simple ingredients, you know, let's make eggs, things like that. Let's cook some broccoli, like frozen broccoli. Okay, we're not like, even like just nothing fancy, coconut oil, salt, and call it a day. But my almost 10-year-old blood thinks she's like the best cook ever.
But I love that about you, Maggie, because I know that you guys are just as busy as we are, but you don't let that be an excuse to not put healthy stuff in your families' bodies, because
because a lot of times that's why we don't do it. We're busy. Well, I've got to run from here to there. I'm just going to stop and grab food. But you're teaching them that it's really important to know what you're eating and
the budget doesn't allow for that anyway. You know, but, and then when you're on like different restrictive diets, there's really hardly anywhere you can eat. You know, so it kind of there's so many benefits to doing it. But it takes that planning, and I would love to say that I'm just the most disciplined person with the times that I do things. I get so distracted, you know, so figuring out, okay, so this is important, so this is what this is going to be routine. And it is, like, whatever we deem important in our family, we'll find a way to work it in, you know, whether it's physical activity or it's, you know, what kind of food we eat, or our family, you know, sitting down as a family, or maybe we have picnics because we have a game or something like, maybe it's something like that, you know. And
so we can simplify. I mean, even if we're eating on the back of Dad's truck, and that's our together time for today, right? We just have a little picnic right there. I love that.
I was kind of thinking that one of the reasons I do like to teach my children to cook, to bake, is also because I don't want them doing all the technology or other things that they might put their time into. So I think that it sets a really nice atmosphere in your home when someone's baking.
True.
Really
It's true.
The house smells good. Everything's just cheerful. And so we try to kind of have that be a part of, like, even our morning routine. One of the kids will get up and, like, make muffins or
Oh,
some of those things. It makes it feel more homey.
Mhm.
Everyone's kind of cheerful and busy doing something productive and together. I feel like my girls already, they like to teach my 3-year-old how to bake. Like they'll have him come over and stir, and it's just really fun and special.
I love that because it almost signals the day, right?
Mhm.
We have cues for everything we get ready to do, and that's like a cue for, okay, let's start the day. Someone's making breakfast, we're getting going. I love that. I love it so much. And so it's so far-reaching, right? I mean, we can keep it as simple or big as we want it when it comes to implementing some of these. And so I love that. It can fit your life. It can. It really, really can.
Each home is different. I mean, all three of us, I feel like, have a lot of similarities in things that we've learned and things that we picked up, but I'm sure every home has its own feel to it and how you do things and what things you found work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that goes for all of these items here. Another thing, so what happens though when you do have, we'll transition, it's kind of different, but it's when there is an illness in the family. How do you support that? Because I grew up very differently as far as how that was supported when I was a kid, but it was now just simple things, right? Simple. I'm talking bare bones today. We're not going to go too deep on this, okay? But just how do you prepare your body or your family when they're sick? One simple thing that I would say that has worked for us as well. And I'm not a healthcare professional, by the way, so just note that. But we avoid white flour and white sugar. Simple things, because it doesn't help our bodies fight. It doesn't help our bodies to fight off illness the way that it could. And dairy as well, like when there's mucus and things like that. So just that's a simple thing that you can do. Up your vitamin C intake, lower your stress, right? Deep breaths, things like that. Going outside, if you can, if you're not too sick, setting on the ground, just simple things that you can put into your routine for wellness. And another thing that we do for when somebody isn't feeling well, lots of ginger tea, because that heats up the body and it actually helps kill off pathogens. Which I don't know, I didn't know that, but it's like you can go to Walmart and there's a great organic traditional medicinals tea you can get that works brilliant to do that. And so that's like our bodies want to heal if we give them the proper building bones of great activity, food, routine, emotional health. I mean, in a perfect world, right? We're in an imperfect world, and these are just things.
It's true, but I love that you're saying if we want emotional health, physical health, all of those things, it is attainable. It seems overwhelming because there are so many things that are just eating away at all of those, but just those simple things make it feel like that's something we can do. So,
and learning to look up what do different fruits and vegetables and foods do for our body. I know when I was pregnant with my son, I was having some pregnancy issues. And like my husband, he's really great about doing this too, but he researched, he was like, oh, you need to be eating beets. I was like, we never eat beets. I was like, what? So then I was like, okay, so I started having beets regularly. And we looked up some other stuff about eggs and the power they had to support in different things. So I was like, it's really important to be willing to like research our foods. What foods help with what?
Yeah, absolutely. It is amazing. The healing power of food too, and garlic is a huge one. Organic garlic from and that's cheap. It's like, but eating lots of it when you're to help your body fight. And I just have seen amazing results. Because I when I first became a mom, that wasn't something that I saw as a priority, that I just didn't know what to do. So I had to learn. I had a lot of people in my life. I feel like God's been so faithful, put people in my life to teach me some of these things. But that's been helpful. We use oils, so that's been another helpful tool. Just homeopathy, things like that. And again, there's basic books you can get out there. Maybe we can link a couple, I don't know. But just about how to use homeopathy for your family, how to use oils for your family. And there's even some great resources for how to plan meals for your family too, so that you're getting healthy food. But when there is an illness, you can do the bone broth, and it's simple. It seems like I was like, I'm not making broth because it just is overwhelming. That was like, I kind of shut my mind off to it till recently when I started making it for my daughter, just for her health in general. But it's easy. Like really, you get a whole chicken, and this is more meat stock. You get a whole chicken, you get carrots, and you get onions, garlic, celery, and some good water, and you cook it, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you have great meat stock, and you have a meal or 2 or 3 out of that whole chicken. So I like to simplify. So that not only what you have is broth that you can use for other meals, or you can save it and freeze it until there is an inevitable cold or whatever, to help them heal. And so then you can use the chicken. You can make chicken salad. You can just, you know, I like Frank's Red Hot sauce on everything.
Yes.
So I do that for all my, you know, so whatever it is, like I just like to simplify. That's a simple way to get good nourishing stock into your body when you're ill or whatever it is. So lots of teas. You love tea.
I love tea, and I have daughters that just love tea. So I always feel like they know as soon as they start to get the sniffles or different things to grab what the different types of tea, or if they can't sleep, we have tea for that.
There's a tea for that.
Sure.
Tea's great like that. They know how to go in there now and go, oh, that tea's good for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so just being patient with the body too. I think that's something that I did not know how to be. Is patient with my body, like patient, and it's hard as a mom to watch your kids be ill, like and you're like, I want to fix it. I want to give them this medicine so that they're not suffering. Like, wait, their immune system was created to fight off and ward off illness and sickness. You know, of course, there's extenuating circumstances, but as a general rule, you know, that's what they're designed to do, and it's beautiful to watch and to see on the other side of that when they're well. You're like, oh my goodness. I mean, really, maybe you didn't do anything, and then just happened. You know, but there's so many things that you can do. I have a tried and true trick, but it's a funny one, but I can tell you guys about it if you want me to.
Do it.
Okay.
A funny one.
I've done this to my girls since since my oldest was 6 months old. So it's this thing called cold wet socks that I'm sure you could Google it, and it's an herbalist remedy. So when there's a cough or when there's mucus or a fever, and I'm not advocating for like if you got to do what works for you, but for us, you know, it's like cotton blend socks. You put them in distilled water and put them in the freezer and let them get frozen, and then take them out, and you have a pair of wool socks. Now you put it on your child when it's frozen, and then you put the wool sock over, and at first they're not happy. But then the body immediately starts to, and you get them warm, and they're like, oh, this is nice. It's like it has a sedative effect, but it also helps all that stuff, all of the mucus and all the bacteria, and it helps the body to cool itself down too when there's a fever. So if there's a high fever, you know, those socks will be dry in 30 minutes. It's just so interesting. And it's worked really well to kind of get the body flowing and the nervous system working all together. So that's a simple trick that we've loved as a mom, from one mom to another, that you could try. If you could Google it, there's lots of.
Well, and I have some friends from different parts of the world too that like they have different remedies and like natural things that they'll try, and so it's fun to hear from different people too. Like what's something you've done, and I know I've had people tell us to slice onion and put it inside your sock because a lot does come through the feet.
It does,
and so it helps. The onion's supposed to help pull.
We need to try that. I was gonna...
And then I know sometimes they'll even say like if you've got a lot of germs in your home to just slice onions around the house and then it'll pull it.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah.
I like diffusing oils for that too, but I think that's a better, more like in some ways, like 'cause it's just like, hey, I can go buy an onion and try that. So.
Yes. I've heard of Vicks.
Don't eat it later on.
Have you heard of Vicks? Like rub Vicks on the feet, put socks over. So there has to be something about feet in this whole.
Yes.
That's so
I grew up with Vicks, so yeah.
During the whole COVID thing, I did the bags of charcoal around the house, and it's supposed to also pull.
Yeah, really?
Wow. There's some pulls
I do love activated charcoal. I'm a big fan for digestive issues and things like that too. And so, and here's another thing. I'll kind of end with this part, but if the body needs to get sick, it will.
Yes.
And so, I mean, there'll be times when 4 people in the family get sick, and then there's 1 that doesn't, or then there's 3, and then 2 that don't. But I think it's our body knows what it needs to do inherently. It's like there is a wisdom that God created our bodies with to know what it needs so that it can heal and move on. Maybe there's a growth spurt, so maybe there's an illness. Like, it's just so interesting. And so I've been fascinated by all of this and learning that there's a better way. But it took me stepping out in faith, because I was very fearful in the beginning. Like, oh my goodness, what if oh no. Like, you know, like the mom fear. And so you have, stepping out and letting, you know, there's certain areas of my life I still have to work on the fear part, but that's when I feel like I've had a victory. I'm like, okay, let their immune systems work and do their thing. So support them how you can. But
that's good stuff.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Well, so what is one takeaway you think we should leave our audience and our friends with?
Yeah, no, I think that, maybe, teaching our kiddos to cook, that might be daunting, but maybe, figuring out what is one thing they could help you with in the kitchen.
Yes. I was really thinking, we do need to teach our kids why we're doing things. Sometimes they just have no clue, and then they're not going to carry it on for the rest of their life if they have no clue why they were doing something.
That's the more reason why, exactly. It's like, that's beautiful. Yes, absolutely. So talking to them about these things. And then pick one thing you could do, when there's an illness that rolls around. Maybe it is the cold wet socks. Maybe that's too daunting. Maybe it just is the onion, or maybe it is like, okay, let's not eat sugar and white flour, or let's make a broth. Something simple, or go get a box of tea from Walmart, or something like that. So something simple.
That. And I think that we all have a memory of something our mothers did. They did that one thing, and these are life-giving, and we know that they work. So I think that's great.
No, that's great.
Awesome.
I love it.
I think we have really helped peel back the layers on wellness and health, and I just appreciate it, Maggie. Thank you for sharing with us.
I love it.
And we hope everyone is blessed. Have a great time until our next episode.
Yes, bye guys.
Bye.
See you later.